How's it going, everybody? Sorry about that long absence of mine and not making videos there, but I was out of town and it was kind of hard to get back into the swing of things. I had to do a lot of research. Anyway, I do have a video for you today. It's going to be about the effectiveness of masks. I'm wearing this right now just to prove a point, especially Luann Grisham. You need to start wearing your mask if you're going to sit here and hype about it, like even when you're on a mic. You guys can hear me just fine with this mask on. I'm not talking any louder than I normally would. So you can hear people through a mic just fine wearing a mask. In fact, this is the mask that I usually use as a pop filter on the mic. So anyway, it's a standard mask. It's a little thicker than normal, actually, because it was homemade. But anyway, I digress. Let me get this stupid thing off and we'll continue. See, as you can tell, you can hear me just fine. I did not change the volume of my voice in any way. Yeah. Anyway. All right, everybody. My first article is coming from advisory.com. Just how effective are masks at stopping coronavirus? Here's what new research says. Several studies published this month. By the way, this is back from June 16th. It's a little dated, but it's not really that old. I mean, several studies published this month indicate that wearing masks or face coverings can effectively curb transmission of the novel coronavirus, lending support for policies requiring individuals to wear masks or coverings in public. But some scientists contend that the study's results should be viewed with caution. So this is why I'm bringing it up, is because these are the studies that actually decided a lot of these states like California, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, and Massachusetts to go ahead and create all of these laws for mandatory masks. So although CDC recommends that Americans wear face masks or coverings in instances when social distancing may not be possible, is meant to prevent transmission of new coronaviruses, requirements on whether Americans must wear masks in public varies from state to state. Well, yeah, duh. Several states by this point already had theirs in place, such as Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, but once again, most of these were based off of those same studies that a lot of states ended up adopting later, such as New Mexico and California. Research shows wearing masks can significantly reduce risk of coronavirus transmission. However, new research could support some experts and officials' calls for more sweeping policy regarding face masks and coverings to curb the virus's spread, the Washington Post reports. For instance, a study published Thursday in the Proceedings of National Academy of Sciences found that requiring people to wear masks in epicenters of new coronavirus cases may have prevented tens of thousands of infections from the virus. That's kind of what I'm going to be going over here, and I don't think that they would have prevented it. For the study, researchers examined how new coronavirus is transmitted by reviewing infection trends in Wuhan, China, Italy, and New York City, all of which were early epicenters of the virus transmission. The researchers also observed the precautions implicated to curb the virus's spread in those epicenters and compared the rates of coronavirus infections in Italy and New York City before and after rules regarding face masks and coverings were put in place. The researchers found that airborne transmission appears to be the dominant route for infection from the new coronavirus, according to the study. In addition, they found that coronavirus infection trends changed once government enforced mask-wearing rules in Italy in April 6th and in New York City on April 17th. Their cases are still rising quite a bit over in New York, so I'm not really sure if that data was really fleshed out well enough before they just went ahead and jumped the gun on forcing everybody to wear masks and telling you all that it's the most important thing that we can do, when I don't think it is. I've got some information for you here. So I just took these states from a list of states that have mask orders, just randomly, just kind of grabbed some. Wasn't like a particular order. I happen to get Hawaii, which has one of the lowest coronavirus case by population. So let's go ahead and go through this. California, which put their mask policies up in June 18th, with a total of 340,431 people infected. That is 0.8% of their population. Connecticut, they put their mask laws into place on April 20th. 47,530. Doesn't sound like that much, but that is 1% of their population. Well, 1.2%, sorry. Delaware put their mask laws into place April 28th, has 12,969 people. That is 1.2% of its population. Hawaii, April 17th, they put their mask laws into place, has 1,243 people, one of the best states in the union, at 0.08% of their population is infected. Illinois put their mask laws into place April 30th, has 157,028 cases. That brings it to about 1.6%. Maine put their mask laws into place in May 1st, has about 0.2% of their population infected. Maryland put their mask laws into place April 18th, 74,836 people infected at 1.6% of their population. Massachusetts put their mask orders into place at May 26th. They have 112,130 cases at 1.6% of their population. So, as we can see, the average is a little over 1% for my list here. And I didn't even add New York onto there, which is quite a bit higher, I believe. Let's see our list for states that did not put in mask orders, at least not until the last 2 weeks. Okay? And why I say the last 2 weeks is because the coronavirus takes 14 days to incubate. Therefore, if we're going to see any kind of potential rise in coronavirus cases, it should be at about 2 weeks after for any kind of major changes or anything like that. So if these mask orders did really help, and most of these places just put these mask orders into place, so therefore we're not going to see the change from them yet. So it's basically what I'm saying is their low numbers is not indicative of the fact that they just put mask orders into place. Yeah. All right, so we have Alabama first on the list at 57,255 people infected at 1.1% of their population. Kentucky, 20,635 people infected at 0.4% of their population. Michigan, 78,045 people. They just passed mask laws, by the way, at 0.7% of their population. Ohio, 67,995 people infected at 0.5% of their population, 0.5%. Oregon, 12,810 at 0.3% of their population. Pennsylvania, 101,360 at 0.7% of their population. Texas, 280,258 at 0.9% of their population. West Virginia, 4,474 people at 0.2% of their population. So you're seeing the average there is well below 1%. Maybe a little bit above 0.5, but yeah, it seems like it's about anywhere from like 0.5 to 0.7% average there. So a lot of these places that did not have mask orders and have not had mask orders until about the following week or just a little bit longer than a week aren't the highest places in the union. There's quite a bit of them that are not. Now, you can find some articles saying that a lot of these states are on the rise, and I did do a list of that. Out of this list, 4 states are amongst the 21 states seeing an upwards trend, and the ones with mask laws only have 3 states on that list. The ones with a downward trend have 3 states with mask laws. By the way, 21 states on a downward trend as well. 3 states with mask laws and 3 states without mask laws are on downward trends. And then 8 states are staying about even, with 2 with mask laws and 1 without mask laws. So we see only a really small difference in the states about whether or not these masks are being effective. I think that this issue is probably a lot more complicated than I'm making it. Probably a lot more complicated than this study was making it too. To be honest, how far are people away? Was there a large amount of protests? Are mass gatherings more likely, such as in Michigan during July 4th? I was up there, by the way. There was people everywhere. They were all gathering at parties. I had not a mask to be seen. So, there's a lot of things to take into account here. Outside travel as well. Are they major hub states? These things I have definitely not taken into account. But with this information, I'm not seeing a clear line between numbers dropping and mask laws. So I'm not sure that we need to be having mandatory mask laws, especially when it comes to fines and stuff like that, about the enforcement that has been proposed by Michelle Lujan Grisham and many other governors. I believe in California, it costs $300 to get caught without a mask. It's insane. That's a lot of money, you know. It's going to target the poor population quite a bit, too. Now, I do agree with any business, such as Walmart, has now made it mandatory in all their stores, regardless of state mask laws, to wear a mask. You know, that it's a private business. I can't tell you what to do. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. But let's try to base it on science here, and I'm not seeing enough science to support that masks are truly effective, or at least mask laws, you know, because, you know, many people can just not abide by the mask rules whatsoever, and enforcing these things is kind of insane and a little bit draconian. Yeah, that was the last article I had, but I do have a little bit of information from here in New Mexico. So New Mexico, we put our mask laws into place on May 16th. Before that, many people were wearing masks a lot of the times, and they were suggested, but a lot of people didn't. You know, maybe 40% of people did. So in the first 14 days after that, we did not really show any particular lowering that we weren't already showing. So, for instance, before May 16th, we were already on a downwards trend quite a bit. And that downwards trend continued for about 15 days. On May 31st, 15 days later, we had the lowest daily case since mid-April. It went down to, I think it was 45 cases that day. But literally within the next several days, it went up to record-shattering cases, almost double and triple of what we were normally doing. So that's 14 days after. Anybody just after the mask laws, when it became mandatory and weren't allowed into stores, it didn't show any kind of major effectiveness, because 14 days later is when we would see those infections on average. So, you know, instead, 15 days later, we had the lowest day followed by some of the worst days. The 16 days later, massive amounts of people have it all of a sudden. So mask laws didn't seem to be effective, whether people weren't wearing them or not. I've got lots of videos of protests happening around then and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, people weren't wearing their masks. A lot of people weren't. It's hard to tell where the information really lies. I don't think the mask laws are effective, though, and I don't think that we should be fining people for it, because you just can't enforce this. Yeah, so right about the time of May 16th, too, is when all the major places started forcing everybody, and we did not see any major lowering. Let me know what you guys think, and always like and subscribe to this channel. Please subscribe. It'll really help me out and growing. It'll keep this going for me, so hopefully I can keep bringing you guys the good information and the good news. By the way, all this information that I gave to, all these numbers, all come from CDC. So take that what you will, if you trust CDC or not, but I tend to. Better than who. Anyway, you guys have a good night, and I will talk to you later.